Hey guys, it's Kaleigh, and I'm here to keep you updated about everything you need to know regarding the sports industry. So, today we're going to be looking at an article from the Sports Business Journal titled The Uncertain Future of Title IX, which was written by Eric Prispel. And some of the key points of this article, first off, they discuss the 50th anniversary of Title IX. So, Title IX was signed into law on June 23rd, 50 years ago to the day, in 1972, and it was signed into law by President Nixon. So if you didn't know, Title IX actually prevents the discrimination on the basis of sex for any educational program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. Most commonly, it gives protection to female athletes and female sports in general with regards to sports on the college level. So, according to the Women's Sports Foundation, before Title IX, only 1 in 27 women participated in sports, but today we have seen a significant increase, and every 2 in 5 women participate in sports. So, the second key point I wanted to talk about that this article discusses is that there are many efforts to classify student athletes as employees of their university, and this concept actually has the potential to negatively affect Title IX. So, the most critical element to Title IX is the protection it provides to both male and female athletes and the larger student population, but the question is whether or not that this protection would still apply if athletes are deemed employees of the university. If the protection does translate over, then that protection would require the benefits that an institution provides male and female athletes to be comparable and to be the same. But if this Title IX protection does not translate over to if student athletes are employees, with a lot of revenue generating sports like football and men's basketball financially supporting majority of the athletic department's total funding, women's sports and more broadly non-revenue generating sports would be vulnerable to be eliminated entirely. So that is basically the crux of this article, what calls Title IX into question. Now, while there aren't many huge legislative developments with this idea, there has been a lot of momentum towards making this student athlete become student employees. This model has been getting a lot of traction with everyday conversation in the sports world. So that's just something to think about with regards to Title IX and this new pay-for-play concept. So the last key point of this article is that of the female student athlete NIL success. Now, this article talks about UConn guard Paige Beckers and how she has found success in the name, image, and likeness world, and how she was the first college athlete to get a deal with Gatorade. And then additionally, it talks about more broadly female basketball, women's basketball in general, compared to men's basketball in the NCAA, and how through the Final Four, NIL compensation for women's basketball players actually was higher than that of men's basketball. And co-founder and CEO of Open Doors, which is a NIL affiliated advisory company, said that some women's basketball players will earn more NIL opportunities while in college than they would once they reach the pro ranks, which is not the same for men's. It's not translated over. So I just thought that was significant, and I wanted to include that because I thought it was a really cool statistic. And so now I have a few key takeaways I wanted to talk about with regards to this article. Now, the first is that the pay-for-play model, if taken into effect, could be detrimental to non-revenue generating sports. So I kind of talked on this earlier, but with this new pay-for-play model, if it's starting to get adopted by a lot of schools or adopted just in general, and Title IX doesn't get translated, there would be a lot of issues with regards to female athletes, female women's sports in general, and it all just depends on how the courts interpret Title IX. So I personally hope it doesn't have to come to this, but Title IX would definitely be in the hands of our governing bodies here in the United States. And the second one is that the NCAA needs to find a way to separate NIL and the pay-for-play model. So, just my personal opinion, I don't think it's wise for student athletes to become employees of their own universities, and I don't think it's wise for this pay-for-play model to be adopted. But I do believe that athletes should have the ability to be compensated through their name, image, and likeness and the deals and sponsorships they get through that. So I just think if the NCAA was able to provide a little bit more guidance and regulations regarding NIL, it would prevent the need for a pay-for-play model in general. NIL is fairly new. We're approaching the 1 year since it has been enacted. It was enacted on July 1st, 2021. So there are still a lot of questions and a lot of things that players and sports business professionals are trying to figure out with regards to NIL. And so as time goes on, I feel like more guidance and regulations should be established and put in place with regards to NIL. So the question of this pay-for-play model doesn't need to gain momentum and need to be adopted. And so if this pay-for-play model doesn't need to be adopted, then ultimately the power and protection that Title IX enforces would not have to be called into question at all, and things would just stay the same, and Title IX could actually continue to protect both male and female athletes and make everything comparable and equal with regards to male and female athletes and students in general. So that's all I have for this week. Stay tuned to see what I'll be talking about next week, and I'll talk to you guys later.